Hello and welcome to the In the Money Players podcast. This is our show for Saturday, January 17th. Peter Thomas Fornatal back with you in the Brooklyn bunker, whether you're listening on the podcast side or watching on the In the Money Media YouTube channel. I welcome you. I encourage you to subscribe. And I want to let you know that we've got a great guest today. He's been on these airwaves many times, always popular visits. And lately, when we have him on, we talk Maryland racing, because that is his new port of call. Been for a while now. The man I'm speaking of course, is Dan Illman. Dan, how are things going for you in this new role now that you've had some time to settle in?
It's been a year and I absolutely love it. You can't beat going to the racetrack every single day, getting here early in the morning, watching the horses work out, and just being a part of it all. It's really exciting here in Maryland. Handle's gone up. We really want to thank all of the fans and bettors that are supporting the product. We've got some really nice racing. We've got some kid named Hazelwood who's taken over the Maryland Jockey Colony and has taken over kind of the apprentice racing community by storm. We're very excited. We've got 4 $100,000 races this week and a very exciting winter meet coming up.
The meet has just kicked on, and there's a lot of great stuff coming down the pike. We're going to talk about some of the specifics, especially in terms of handicapping contests that I know this audience is interested in. But the biggest message for me that I want to get across to the listeners, to the viewers, when you started just over a year ago, you talked to me about a vision for this becoming a real horse player friendly racetrack. I think of you as a horse player, and I have to say that I think you've executed that vision pretty well, and it comes in a lot of different forms, but two that I really want to focus on are the pricing on some of these bets and also the tremendous amount of information that's available for free. Let's start with an overview of the betting pools you think might be the most appealing to horse players.
Well, a lot of folks are really keying in on our value pick 5 wagers. First 5 races, last 5 races. The key there, the low takeout rate, 12% on both of the pick 5 wagers. Both of those wagers have carryover potential, and we've seen a lot of excitement, obviously, with low takeout. Horse players want low takeout. We do offer competitive fields, competitive size fields as well. And I think it's a great bet, and we've seen a tremendous amount of value come out of this from a price standpoint. Prices have been really solid compared to the parlays in our value pick 5s. We've always wanted Laurel Park. When I came in here, I wanted this to be known as the players track. We want you to win. We want you to give you the most information possible so that you can make the most intelligent wagering decision. We know you don't have a lot of time. You might be looking at 6 or 7 different tracks. We want to do the work for you here at Laurel Park. So we have our free Laurel Park handicapping guide. It's published each racing day, laurelpark.com/picks. We've got picks from the entire Maryland Jockey Club team, my program analysis and commentary from just about everybody else on the Maryland Jockey Club team, horses to watch, track bias information, and of course, Will Humphrey's extensive trip notes. I mean, Will just such an amazing job highlighting trips that many folks would have missed. There's something for every kind of horse player here, from the novice who just wants to see a top 4 picks and go from play the hot handicapper, so to speak, to someone who really wants to dig into the meat and potatoes, trainer statistics as well.
Well, we're very proud to have Will be a part of that analysis. He does a great job on those trip notes, helps us out here in other capacities as well. But as you mentioned, it's a great team, and you can't help but learn something no matter what level player you are every time you go there. Remind people the URL one more time where they can find that handicapping guide, Dan.
laurelpark.com/picks. It's on the website, usually around 5 p.m. the afternoon before the racing. And again, I really think it's a great resource. We know you've already done the work. We know you have your opinions. We're hoping to give you some information that maybe you could double down, or maybe you'll take a step back and take a second look and say, maybe I missed something.
I talk ad nauseum on these airwaves about my belief that game selection has never been more important than it is now for the horse player. So that comes into play for me when I'm looking at your racing. One thing with the value pick 5, with the nature of the 12% takeout, it doesn't mean the computer assisted wagerers won't be in those pools, but it does mean that their rebate is less. Their action is going to be necessarily reduced. I think it gives players a really good chance to express their opinions and get value, as the name of the bet suggests. But the other thing you're doing, I think, that really helps players in terms of game selection is the robust contest program you have going. And I'm not sure if everybody in the sound of my voice is going to know too much about that and the ways that they can participate in these contests. Because, of course, that for me, not only does it give you that added juice that adds to the daily grind of seeing your name on leaderboards, but it gives you an opportunity to play against this select group of players. And I think it gives you your best chance to actually win money as a horse player. Tell us what you got cooking in terms of the contest program.
Well, we're expanding our contest program this year. We had two last year. They were very successful, one on Preakness Preview Day, one during the fall. We're going to expand them out to several this year, beginning on February the 14th, which is one of our signature racing days of the winter meet. I mean, you've got the Barbara Fritchie, you've got the General George, you've got the inaugural Post Time Stakes. It's a big day of racing. A lot of folks like to come out. And we're going to have a contest hybrid online, also on track. The details will be posted at laurelpark.com, but not only will you have an opportunity to win cash prizes, but seats to potentially the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge or the NHC, and those are the two most prestigious contests in the world.
No doubt about it. And what we're going to do is expand our coverage of Laurel this meet. Certainly all those contest weekends, we're going to have messaging early in the week to remind folks it's coming. And then, of course, we'll be getting into the races. So you'll have an opportunity. And that hybrid model is great. I mean, it's always wonderful when you can be there in person, but, life gets in the way. I'm running around that weekend, going to be up in Boston. I'll figure out, we'll tell you where you can play online. You may see my name on that leaderboard. Let's get into some of the racing on this Saturday card. As you mentioned, we've got some top level stuff, really. 100,000 in the pot on 4 of these races. We'll start with the value late pick 5, which begins with the Geisha Stakes for 4 and up fillies and mares going 1 mile here at Laurel. Dan, how do you want to light this candle in terms of the value pick 5?
Well, to be honest with you, Take the Money Honey just certainly looks like the horse to beat. Isn't that right, Pete? I mean,
No
this,
doubt.
what, a head and a nose away from being unbeaten from 7 lifetime starts. Mike Moore's done a very nice job with this horse, just nursing her through some various injuries. You'll notice she's a 5-year-old with only 7 lifetime starts, but you'll also notice that this is her 3rd consecutive start without a break. Mike told me the other day she's doing very, very well. She rallied from off the pace last time out. She has the speed to adapt to any kind of race flow. She's going to be a short price in this race. She's obviously the horse to beat based on past performances. If you're looking for a C, maybe level horse to play in the value pick 5, maybe Northern Glow for Brittany Russell, one of 2 in here coming off lengthy layoffs for the Russell barn. Northern Glow sort of impressed me, albeit with a low buyer speed figure in her most recent start back in May. I do wonder if perhaps she's a little bit more effective at Pimlico, but if this pace gets hot, maybe Northern Glow can kick late. Brittany excels with horses coming off these 6 months to a year layoffs.
And certainly one to consider in your vertical wagers. But I was thinking, horizontally speaking, the Take the Money Honey just looked too tough to oppose. Best numbers, maybe a pace edge, and a great draw, too. If somebody wants to go on a mission, this horse, she's got the ability to pass runners as well. And then I think you made the key point for one, maybe if you want to poke a hole, you look at the lightly race. But 3rd race of the form cycle suggests, probably in career form. I had nothing creative. All systems go. 7 for me to start the value pick 5, maybe a penny on the 2 for Dan as well as we pivot to race number 7, which is the Jennings, the boys version of the previous race. Once again, 4 and up, $100,000 in the pot, a mile on the dirt. And I will not argue with anyone who thinks that the 4-runner Quince Brew is a standout, and you'd have to be much braver than me to try to fade this grade 2 runner. But I did want to make the case for the 7 McLean's Rook in this spot as a potentially interesting alternative. Horse is just very progressive, unexposed, meaning we just don't know how good McLean's Rook is yet. Just raced twice on the dirt, huge margins of victory, competitive figures, looks versatile in terms of running style, looking at pace figures, has some finish. Indy charges on, who the horse beat last time, came back to win an allowance in good time. I just thought that the 7 McLean's Rook was a reasonable alternative, and I was going to try to get away with using both of them in this spot. How did you see the Jennings?
They're the 2 most likely winners on paper. I was talking to Ned Allard earlier this week, and he was just bemoaning the fact that Quince Brew had trouble last time out. He said it was some of the worst racing luck he had in a while. He was sort of just hemmed in down on the inside between 1/8 of a mile and 1/4 of a mile. And considering the horse was running off of a 7-month layoff, And facing our Maryland Million sprint winner, Slam Notion, with a ton of recency on Quince Brew coming in all, the horse ran well. I'd like to see Quince Brew run well as he did when he won the Jennings last year. It's a natural prep race for the General George on February the 14th, one of our most prestigious races of the winter. I was talking to Mike Trombetta's assistant, Tana Aubrey, who does a great job here with the Laurel String. McLean's Rook, she said with a laugh, probably will never start on turf again after the first two races on dirt. She's been that impressive. If you are looking for a price horse to try to blow things up, Full Diversion is a horse that ran in the city of Laurel against Zero Blitz, a close third going 7 furlongs, ran in the Howard and Sandra Bender. And while Quince Brew did try to commence a 4-wide bid entering the turn before flattening out, a very professional victory last time out and wheeling back on 9 days, this horse has won going longer in the past. If you're looking for a price and a pace meltdown, maybe you could use Bold Diversion with the other two, but perhaps at a lighter rate.
What would you do in terms of either ranking these contenders as A's and B's, or putting a top pick to press a little bit, or is it more of a use equally at the potential value?
Well, I couldn't use Bold Diversion as equally as Quince Brew or McLean's Rook. I mean, I think those two are the most likely winners. McLean's Rook's upside potential fascinates me, so I might actually use him somewhat equally with Quince Brew and use Bold Diversion perhaps as a B.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. We'll move on to the hinge of this value pick five, where we've got $100,000 handicap going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I'll kick off with this one with number 6, Hold Your Breath, looking very obvious off the 2 big wins, good figures, chance to be the best speed again. And I like the late sectional numbers in those wins. The fractions laid on suggest this is a horse that's whose ability matches what we're seeing on the paper. Might have a hard time here, though, grabbing the early lead the way this field is composed. And could that open up a nice trip for the Forerunner Passage East? This is a horse who's been in a really nice vein of form and facing easier, but I thought might be able to step up with the right kind of trip. I was going to mainly mess around 6 and 4 here in the 8th race. How do you see it?
Well, Hold Your Breath's last race was super impressive visually up in New York, where she went right to the lead. She's such a big, strong filly. Another one that started her career and ended up moving on the turf and the synthetic. John Service told me he might have gotten fooled a little bit by that first race on turf where she ran off and hit at Saratoga. She's a dirt filly now. The favorite came to her in the stretch, and she just rebuffed that horse under ridden out fashion. It was a very impressive performance, but it was also a race where they ran 1, 2, 3 around the track. And maybe the slow early fractions led to those late sprint home times. Disco Ebo is really the key to this race because when Disco Ebo breaks, she's fast and she could make Hold Your Breath run. Catch the replay of the last race at Parks. I know it was many, many months ago, but she dwelt. She missed the break by 7 to 10 lengths and she was still running on at the end, only beaten 5. I expect her to show better speed with an alert break. Maybe she pushes Hold Your Breath. I think it's interesting you mentioned Passage East because I'm a little bit interested in the other Hugh McRan runner as well. That's Think Fast. And well, I must admit, I'm usually never fans of horses coming from Hawthorne. I've never had good luck with those horses. This horse ran very, very well last time out, albeit against 3-year-old competition. She made a 4-wide bid. She hung on gamely in between horses. And it's just another lightly raced horse that could take advantage if Disco Ebo and Hold Your Breath battle it out for the lead. I'm kind of curious to see what we get from Think Fast. Maybe there's a price there, but Hold Your Breath. John says he thinks she can rate. I won't be surprised if she sits second, blasts to the front, and wins.
Let me ask you about Disco Ebo. One great thing about Dan's analysis, especially now that he's out on track every day, and you can hear it the way he talks. Not only does he do the old school paperwork like we all do, but he's talking to people. He's hearing things. He's got his eyes out there on the track in the morning. My concern with Disco Ebo was this 216-day layoff. Do you have any word on how she might be doing, and whether or not she's a contender on the win end for somebody, knowing that she was back in form and going to give Hold Your Breath a tussle on the front end would really be, as you pointed out, the key to this race.
Nothing really specific regarding the layoff here, but my feeling is that if she couldn't run anymore, she'd be bred. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she's a multiple stakes winner. They've got plenty of nice horses, the Butch Reed barn. I have a feeling they want to give Disco Ebo another chance. And maybe the sign that she broke so badly last time out was just a situation where Butch felt she's getting a little sour. Let's
Yep,
give her
off
some
form.
time. She runs well at Laurel Park. I think she's one of the last two editions of our Prima Netta Stakes. The rail post can be intimidating for any kind of horse. You really don't want to be a step slow out of there with a horse like Hold Your Breath to the outside, but it's sort of a situation. I trust Butch Reed, an old school horseman who has done very well historically shipping down to Laurel Park.
Would you leave the one runner in your main array of picks, or are you mostly 3-6?
I am mostly going to go 3-6 in here. I respect Disco Ebo, but the concern is that Hold Your Breath might be breathing down her neck heading
Right.
at the 5/16th pole.
I agree, but that's still, from a pace point of view, very important to give that one her due in that spot. Let's talk about race number 9, where we've got another one of these handicaps going 6,500,000 in the pot. Dan, we'll keep it with you.
This could be a nice prep for the General George next month. There are two sharp horses in here that I want to focus my play on, Chipotle and Patinga's Twin. And both of these horses might be stepping up slightly, especially Chipotle, who won a high-level allowance race last time out. And the horse blasted to the lead that day, was very, very fast, making the front. And Raul Mania is one of our more of our underrated jockeys on the circuit. Back that second quarter down to 24 and change. And I think that might have made all the difference as Chipotle was able to hold off the classy odds-on favorite Prince of Jericho under the wire. The good news about Chipotle is he draws outside some of the other speeds, might not be pushed hard to make the lead and could sit
Mhm.
off another horse or two. I think this horse is in good form. Mikey Gorham has been doing very, very well this year. Last year and going into this year. Patinga's Twin seeking his third consecutive victory for Anthony Farrier. Good effort last time out in the Dave's Friend, beating the aforementioned Prince of Jericho. Doesn't seem to matter whether it's Lasix on or Lasix off. And remember, these are overnight handicaps, the Fire Plug and the What a Summer, which means these horses can run with Lasix despite the gaudy purse.
It's an excellent point. I did have Chipotle in the mix as one who might get the best trip. I thought this was really competitive. I
Yes.
kept coming back to number 5, Full Moon Madness in this spot. Really bad trip last time at graded level. 2 back, I thought was against the grain of a speed favoring track at graded level, and I thought ran really well to be third. And this time, this is another horse, if there is more pace up front, could really trip out. I think this horse has the tactical speed to get some kind of position. But if this plays for a mid-pack closer, and I think it might, Full Moon Madness, I think, could be the beneficiary. Point Doom was one I wanted to mention based on some of these good races. Looks a little quirky, has had some races that maybe didn't show up as much as I'd like in that last eighth, but another horse that with the right trip can easily win. I was going to mess around mainly 5, 2, and 9. I'm going to take another look at your Patinga's Twin, the 8 runner, as well as we move to our nightcap, the anchor leg of this value pick. 5 more bread and butter stuff here, getting down into the claiming ranks, going a mile still. But when it comes to the value pick 5 on Saturday at Laurel, Dan, how are we going to get paid?
I think we're going to get paid maybe in this race. I think there's a chance that we could find a price. I know Strategist is going to take a lot of money in this race. I didn't see much of an excuse for the horse's performance last time out. Kind of went to the lead, had everything his own way as the favorite, and was second best to a Gary Capuano train runner. Gary, one of our better trainers. The horse ran well off the layoff for Rudy Sanchez Solomon, but I'm kind of interested in two other horses that are going to offer a bit more value. One of them couldn't step with Strategist last time out, and that's the 4 Happy Jaunt. And if you look at Happy Jaunt's career past performances, his best races have come on turf, but they've come with a different running style. When he takes back and makes one run, Happy Jaunt is effective. And in Happy Jaunt's last 2 races, they've had him very close to the pace, and I just don't think that's what he wants to do. I'm expecting Happy Jaunt to take back and make one run, and he's shown some ability not only on turf but on dirt in the past. I want to use him. And Biravino Boulevard, the number 5, defeated a weak field last time out at Penn National, but he did so with an improved Beyer speed figure, a Beyer speed figure that makes him competitive against this group, and he did it in visually impressive fashion. This barn does well off the claim, as we saw, does well second off the claim with sharp horses. So maybe if you want to try to beat the favorite in here, you can look at the 4 and the 5 at prices.
I went with the 5, Biravino Boulevard. And I was actually going to ask you, you mentioned before about historically not loving the Hawthorne form as it comes in to Maryland. I was curious to see what you thought about the Penn form, because my angle essentially was in big improvement for the new outfit. And I think this is a lateral move. It's certainly not a drop. I think it's a lateral move going to the stronger circuit. But as you mentioned, horse just fits on numbers. I wasn't going to be brave enough to fade Strategist. Just looks like a great situation in terms of being potentially the best speed drawn outside. And another one who did run well for a new barn in terms of figures. So I wasn't too worried about the last race, even though, yeah, probably could have won. 5-8 for me, 4-5 for Dan here. But what of that question about the Penn National shippers? Is that a positive, negative, or neutral in your view?
I think it's fairly neutral. I've seen plenty of Penn National shippers, especially over the wintertime, come over here and they do very, very well. And I think in a situation like Biravino Boulevard, it's important to look at his overall record. This horse has done well at Laurel Park in the past. Maybe hasn't run that sort of buyer speed figure last time out, but I'm just feeling this is a more mature animal that fits the program of this new barn and just seems to find a right spot. I don't mind the Penn National shippers at all.
Okay.
Hawthorne is really my only taboo right now. Unless you're talking about Kentucky Downs on the turf, I can't make heads or tails of those races either.
Pretty funny. All right. I would be accused of a host fail if we got out of here without my throwing it open to you for the other value pick 5 on the card in these early races. Do you have a spot or two? And punt if punt if you want, but if you have a spot or two to highlight, I'd love to hear it early in the card.
Quick thoughts maybe in races 4 and 5. Certified Lover Boy, the rail horse in the 4th race, ships down from New York for Fernando Abreu, who's been doing very, very well up at the Naira circuit recently. And this horse just seems like a snug fit in our second level allowance condition. He was caught in a 3-ply pace battle while down on the rail last time out, and he paid the price. To me, horses like Certified Lover Boy, if they're going to win a second level allowance in New York, they need a trip. And he certainly didn't get a trip that day. For folks that are new to handicapping Laurel Park, mile and a 16th races on the main track, it's a huge advantage to start from the inside post. It is such a short run to the first turn. Certified Lover Boy not only breaks from the rail, but breaks from the rail with speed. And I'm not sure he's going to have to work as hard as he did last time to secure forward position. It just seems like a really nice spot for Certified Lover Boy in the 4th race. And in the 5th race, speaking of Penn National shippers, the 7 Blow by the Field's going to make his Laurel Park debut off a runner-up effort for trainer Mark Salvaggio. This horse was pretty game last time out. He didn't break very well, but I like the moxie he showed in the stretch to finish second behind Query, a horse that came back to hit the board and improved his buyer speed figure. I kind of a sucker for these lightly raced horses where I think they can jump up from a buyer speed figure point. It's all about projection sometimes at buyers. And Blow by the Field to me is a horse that at this extra distance, it isn't going to be a problem. He's been very consistent throughout his short career. So those are my two sort of spot plays in the early value pick 5.
That's such a good point about speed figures. And, it's fiercely debated among horse players, the utility of them now that the figure and the market are so correlated. And I think, that's such a key point. You come up with different reasons. If you can find a figure you don't agree with, heck, that's going to be a great betting opportunity. But sometimes it's as simple as evaluating a horse's condition and looking for those progressive types where you just know in your horse playing soul that number on the page doesn't represent the horse's ability. And there's going to be a step up that is not going to be maybe as reflected in the market as it should be. When you can find those opportunities, it's a good idea to pay attention. Thank you for those picks, Dan. If you want all of Dan's picks, as well as so much more information from the team, laurelpark.com/picks, the site to go to every racing day. And I suppose we'll throw a bone to our old employer. You can also get free DRF past performances over on that site as well. Dan, really appreciate having you here today. Thanks so much. And we'll have you back soon. And we're going to make sure to keep people updated on all the goings on, especially as it pertains to those handicapping contests. Any final thoughts from you to the horse players?
Always a pleasure, Pete. Again, we thank the horse players for supporting us at Laurel Park. I think we've got a really nice product here. We've got some really exciting riders like Yeds at Hazelwood, of course, and we've got some stalwart veterans like Sheldon Russell and Javion Toledo, some really good trainers as well, whether it's Brittany Russell or Gary Capuano or Michael Trombetta. We're really looking forward to a nice meet. And hey, there's going to be a race called the Preakness this year at Laurel Park as Pimlico is going to be rebuilt. So thanks for having me on, Pete. And you're always welcome to come on down. Please come on down at some point this year, at least once.
It'll happen, and I'll let you know. That'd be super fun. I would really like to get down there, and a non-Preakness weekend would probably be a lot more sane and fun. Any predictions about the Eclipse Award Apprentice Jockey Award? Have you done any? I know a lot of people will post their ballots. People like me do podcasts with their ballots. Somebody out there could come up with a pretty good odds line. How's it looking for our man?
I think it's looking 50-50 right now. I mean, this is the first
Tough
year I
year.
don't have a ballot. When I was, an impartial journalist at Daily Racing Form, I was able to vote. Here now that I'm a homer for the Maryland Jockey Club, I think it probably would be unfair for me to have a vote. But for someone that watches Hazelwood day in and day out and realizes that he didn't have his first win until April the 4th, he missed 2 months due to a car accident, and he still not only led the fall meet at Laurel Park, doubling up on someone as talented as Toledo, but ending up winning the entire year at Maryland by amount of wins. Looking at what he's done at Parks, looking at what he's done from his limited opportunities at Aqueduct, no disrespect to the other two. Pietro Moran has done very, very well. The rules at Woodbine are different. I mean, he's been an apprentice for a while. I've seen him at Turfway. He's had some struggles. I'm sure he'll bounce out of it. Christopher Elliott, fine young rider. Has got a tremendous amount of ability, struggled a little bit towards the end of the year, but has been holding his own against some of the best in the NYRA circuit. So it really is a competitive category. But I will say this. Before Hazelwood even had his first mount, he was sort of like the number one draft pick that everyone was talking about. Everyone was saying, we got this kid galloping horses at Fairhill. He's 17 years old and he can ride. And he so far lived up to the hype.
Well, given the rich history of apprentice riders from Maryland, this is definitely a name folks are going to want to be paying attention to and maybe giving a little bit of extra credit to the mounts when putting together some of these upcoming value pick fives. Dan, we'll thank you one more time. We'll thank our founding partners over at 10 Strike Racing, who race in Maryland sometimes. We always love to root for the purple and black around here. Our charity partners, Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. Learn more about the work they do helping humans and horses at inthemoneypodcast.com/horses. Most of all, though, I want to thank all of you, the listeners and the viewers, especially those of you who subscribe, comments, likes, all those good things to our videos. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your photos.